Steamy. You killed the grass.
And it's not insured. I find the 70. I could find a 7610 to put the loader on. 10 series. 7510. Those are nice. No, it's not done on top. Like, yeah, well, just put a cone or something out here. And, okay. He said, do I have to put that on backwards? I said, I don't know. I said, well, it's a lot lighter than it used to be. Really? Yeah. It just lost about all the fuel.
Yeah.
Oil.
Glass is out of it.
Yeah, glass is on it. We just sweep that down the ditch. I'll have to gather it up. Start my dumpster. Something running?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. I live streamed it.
Yeah, I live streamed it. Well, I figured.
Okay, good morning. You're just going to watch this wonderful, wonderful tow truck driver. His name is Dave Moskal. Been friends for years. He's a funny guy. Literally a funny guy. I mean, really funny guy. Kind of always there when you need him. Last year when the grain tank fell over on the road, when the tie rod end broke on the Kill Brothers wagon, he was coming down the road and he helped us clean it up and get it going, and didn't even ask for a dime. So anyway, I called him when this thing was ablaze. I'm like, hey, I think you can come over here and pull this thing out of the ditch. It's burned up and just really needs to get out of there. Well, I called him and he didn't answer, which is normal. But when I sent the text message, he looked at it. He was like, yeah, I'll be there in an hour. And true to form, he was there. I mean, he must have hammered down off a 78 because that's where he was. Anyways, he shows up, and this is what you're going to see. So I'll get off of that subject and just start talking about the tractor itself. So this tractor never was really a tractor that I used to rake hay with. I mowed hay years ago with it, but raking hay, and I guess I'm wrong. I did rake hay, but the reason this thing burned was because Cody was raking hay, and because the hay is so thick and heavy, it was not picking it up as well as he would have liked it to. So he went over it again, and when he went over it, the drive shaft that comes off of the transmission that goes to the front wheel drive, the four-wheel drive or the front wheel assist axle at the front, wrapped with hay. He went down the road maybe a mile, and then he raked another farm, which in turn probably continued to pull material into that shaft. And because once you get a little hay wrapped around something, it's like the fingers, you know, they just start grabbing everything. So he made it another maybe half a mile from the field that he had finished raking when he smelled smoke. And he got out to investigate, and when he saw that there was a small fire under there, he kicked it to kick it off of the drive shaft. And when he did that, it just gave that hay a little more room, you know, unwound it a little bit, and a lot of oxygen, and woof, up it went. So that fire is at the front of the tractor, where there's a whole bunch of plastic. There's the shroud, there's the fan, there's the rubber belts, there's a little bit of oil there. That tractor did have a slight little leak of oil, but nothing really to write home about. The loader leaks more than what the tractor did, but it's what it is. So he called me up, and he's like, hey, do you have a fire extinguisher? And he's kind of calm. He doesn't really get too excited about much. I says, well, I think I have a couple. What's going on? And he says, oh, the tractor's on fire. I was like, well, beat it out with your shirt. I'll be right there, you know. And then he says, oh, it's trying to start. Well, when he said it's trying to start, that pretty much means that the whole bottom end of that damn thing is on fire. and it's melting wires, and they're starting to connect to one another and short out, and just so happens that it wanted to start. Of course, it didn't start, but there it is, on fire. And I says, well, hang on, I gotta go. I says, I'm not gonna come over there with, at high speed. I said, just call the fire department and get them coming. So he did, and I ran into the shop. I had two 10-pound fire extinguishers in there, which, threw them in the back of the truck. My aunt was in the driveway. I told her the tractor's on fire, and I took off. Now, I didn't go like 5,000 miles an hour, because at the point where he called me, it was already the wires were melting. So by the 10 minutes that it took me to get there, it was already really pretty much too far gone to really be a concern. The tires were on fire at the front when I got there. So he grabbed the fire extinguisher, I grabbed the fire extinguisher, and we started putting the fire out. Looked like it was going to go out, but it had already made it to the top of the fuel tank, and the fuel tank was on fire, and they're plastic. And once you get that plastic a burning, it's just burning. So we expensed the two 10-pounders, and it just went up. That was it. There was no stopping it. Now, if the fire company would have showed up sooner than later, I'm not faulting the fire company. They came from a long ways away. And it wasn't even Kingwood. Kingwood should have been there. It was on the Franklin-Kingwood side. Franklin Township there's a town called Quakertown, and Quakertown is actually a fair distance from there. Like, Kingwood's 3 miles, 4 miles. Franklin's double that, or Quakertown is double that, if not more. So it was kind of weird that Kingwood didn't even show up. So anyhow, yeah, so it's on fire. You see the video that it was on fire, and we're just like, well, whatever. There's nothing we can do. We hooked to the hay rake. We pulled it away from it, and the hay rake actually did have some damage to it. Nothing bad at all, but just a little bit. And that was the end of that. So it burnt. Fire company came, put it out. All right, so I had called my insurance agent, because this was Saturday afternoon. I called my insurance agent. I have his number, and I said, hey, dude, my tractor's burning right now. I just wanted to let you know. I'll be, basically talking to you on Monday. And he called me. He's like, hey, Wes, what's going on? I told him. He says, well, is that tractor insured? And I says, well, that's the thing. I don't know. I really don't know if that particular tractor is insured. And he says, well, let me look. I'll let you know. We'll talk. So yesterday he called up, and Teresa looked at the policy, and she's like, well, it covers fire. And I was like, okay. And, well, that's a good sign, right? It covers fire. The problem is, it doesn't cover that tractor. The reason it doesn't cover that tractor is because I never insured this tractor. Hindsight being 2020, I should have insured the tractor, because it really wouldn't have been as expensive as what I thought it was going to be. And the reason I didn't insure it is because you can insure every single piece of equipment that you have, and it will be extraordinarily expensive. Like, the policy will cost you $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year. It would cost me $40,000, $50,000 a year. Now, I had a company before this company, and they were like, well, I think that bill came back, and it was, what the hell was it, $38,000 for 2 trucks. Not 2 trucks. That was on a different policy. For the 2 trucks was $12,000 a year. But the tractors, the 2 tractors, 2 balers, and some other stuff was like $38,000, and it was only a small portion of what I was doing. So what I did was, we were on our way to North Carolina when I got this policy taken care of, and I was like, well, this is what we're going to do. We're just going to insure what I've got going in North Carolina, and when I get back, I will update the policy. My house is on there, the barns, the buildings, and contents, and stuff like that. So that happened. I come back from North Carolina and totally forget all about it. Just totally forget all about it. And yeah, this year, I re-upped it, totally forgetting what I had done or what I hadn't done because I got a lot of stuff on my mind. And this tractor and a lot of other equipment did not get put onto the policy. So this tractor was not named. It's a piece of equipment, so they either have to be named or the smaller equipment goes under a blanket. So what I have to do now is basically buy a tractor with no money coming from the insurance company. And you know, it's kind of annoying, and it would really upset me if it was a 7810 that's about ready to pull this tractor a little bit sideways up onto that trailer or onto that rollback. But the 7410 has been with me since 2005. It doesn't owe me anything, really. I rebuilt the transmission. I rebuilt the engine in it, new radiators and other things over the years. It had brand new tires on, about $6,000 worth of let's see, $5,000 worth of tires on it. Those two new Trailboard tires were just put on there this spring. Literally this spring before we went to North Carolina. So anyway, so that's it. It's a complete and total loss to me. I have to find a tractor and buy it without any help from the insurance policy. So there you go. So the insurance policies that I have had over the years, you know, they're just, insurance and me just are not friends, you know, and it's just, I really need to be really detailed, and so does everybody watching this. You have to be very detailed in what you want and do when it comes to your insurance policies. So now I'm going to pull my Schedule F out of my income tax, where everything is listed there because there are depreciations and depreciated stuff. And this tractor obviously was depreciated off of the you know, taxes and everything because it was a 2005, and I only depreciated that for like 7 years, I think. So that's long gone. Yeah, it's just, it is what it is. I'm not happy about it, but it is what it is. But it's a good thing we have good friends like this that can come and rescue us when we need that. There's not too many people in this world that you can count on. Fortunately, this guy is one of those people. He really is. And he's a lot of fun to be around. He's funny. Oh, he's funny. And we had a good time. And we had a good time. So at the end of the video, yesterday's video, when we were loading it up, because we're getting close to that clip that was in there, I said to him, I said, man, you made that look like a professional. Like you're a professional. He says, well, I did watch a video twice last night, and I just thought that was the funniest damn thing ever. But, you know, it is what it is. So you live and you learn. I knew that this tractor wasn't insured. I just had that feeling, but I thought maybe I had a blanket policy, and that blanket could have covered it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get that Schedule F, and I'm going to go through the other more important pieces of equipment, and you know, the ones that aren't listed on there, and then I'm going to get a blanket $100,000 blanket coverage for equipment and pieces and things like that, and which will cover a lot of stuff that's in the shop as well. So yeah, yep, and that's what I'm gonna do. So now I get to go shopping, and there's a whole bunch of other things that happened that day as well, like the grain dryer. I have problems with the grain dryer. I have picked some corn. I have corn that's going over, if you've seen in the video yesterday, but I have picked some corn. And the grain dryer had a short in, well, it had corrosion on the main panel, which happened recently. It's not something that happened like 3 months ago, because we've welded off of this dryer. There's a plug that we share, the same plug with the welder, so we just plugged it in. And you hit the on button, and then it would run the welder, and it works good. But we used that not that long ago, and now it won't work. So messing with that panel, I think what I did was I connected, they're push buttons, and I think what happened was the one push button made connection, and it then in turn cooked a capacitor, a very small capacitor or a resistor. I think it's a diode or a capacitor. I think it's a little capacitor, tiny little capacitor, and I watched it pop. So when I did that, it shut down my 12 volt. Yeah, there's a, let's see, how does this thing work? There's a 12 volt transformer which powers that panel, and I'm pretty sure that that thing failed, and when it did, it kept the 12 volt transformer transforming from 240 volts down to 12 volts, and it cooked two pieces in the other panel. I found the panel online and I bought it. It should be here tomorrow. That panel is expensive. It was $1,600, almost $1,700. By the time I paid the shipping and everything, it was $1,700 bucks. So it is what it is, and that's just the end of that. But the main panel is, I can't seem to find it anywhere. It's just not online, and I got to make a phone call here. I guess I could call now when I'm done with this video, but I have to call and see if I can get that, which would be good, because I really need to get that panel so I can get this corn that's in the dryer. It needs to be dried and isn't dry. It just needs to be dried. So anyhow, just the way it is, you know. What else happened? Oh, the computer that I'm doing this video on crashed. I have set it up now differently than what it was, so that I can read and feed off of the external hard drive before it was loading up my internal hard drive, and then causing a great pain in my ass, which I really didn't need a great pain in my ass, but it was there. So anyhow, I guess that's that. I will shut my mouth now at about 18 minutes. I got a couple things to say yet, and then that'll be that. But yeah, I'm just, you know, I got to come up with about $70,000 to replace this tractor. This tractor I only felt was worth about $25,000, $30,000, and I figured that I could replace it for at least $30,000. Well, you get something that is in worse shape than this for $30,000. This tractor was actually worth somewhere between $50,000 and $70,000, which is kind of crazy. I did find one that is in really good shape, with about 1/3 the hours on it, that I'd really like to own. But then I'm thinking, well, do I really want to own that, or do I want to go ahead and get another 6210R? I really like the 6210R. We can run balers off of them. We can run the baler off of it. We can run loaders. We can pull chisel plows, disc harrows, whatever we want to do. We can really put the juice to it, and it will function and work correctly. It really will. So anyways, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.